go to a question and answer when we've the three speakers. Okay, the second speaker in this session is Valo Dantine, and he is. I really strongly recommend that you read his little biography. I had great fun reading it and wishing I were he. He's an agroecological gardener and trainer with Terre et Humanisme. For you, sir.
On nous parle beaucoup de sol vivant et d'avenir de la...
There is much talk about living soil and agriculture in this year of land. I'd like to go back a few millennia to see where this all came from and give careful thought to that. We're all Europeans, and 80,000 years ago there was ice everywhere. There was an ice age, no earth. And that it developed, starting with lichen, moss, ferns, small graminacea, which over a period of time formed humus. And then vegetation continued to evolve, creating forests, and that was the basis for the humus, which is now the basis for our agriculture. Initially, all the European peoples were hunters-gatherers. Agriculture came along far later from the east, from the Near East, the Middle East. And very quickly, we saw a degradation of soil, and 3,500 BC, 5,500 years ago, already there were signs of the degradation of the soil. People lived in the forest and had to fight against what was a hostile environment. They had to carve out their farms from clearings, and every piece of land which was cultivated had to be extricated, as it were, from the grip of the forest. And this was the mentality, and man was fighting against nature for basically a pittance. And this was the major problem, despite the fact that there was evolution at the time of the Renaissance. People's view of agriculture changed over the period. Crop rotation, fertilization laid the basis for what would happen with the Industrial Revolution. We've now got to change our mindset and change our approach. We must see ourselves as being part of nature. And it's how we act vis-à-vis nature that will determine how we are treated by the surrounding world and nature. Sorry, I'm overwhelmed by the architecture. There has been tremendous increase in their knowledge of what soil is, etc. A very long list of information and knowledge, and that must be a guide to create a new link between us and the world around us, the living world. There's much talk about living soil and microorganisms, but it is plants and microorganisms which create the soil. It's not the microorganisms themselves. The soil nourishes microorganisms, and it's a to and fro experience there, an interaction.
Excusez-moi, je suis embêté. Il y a beaucoup de choses que j'avais.
Much of what I was going to say has been already said, unfortunately. In any case, this interchange between microorganisms and plants, it's mushrooms and fungi which make that possible. Certain animals fix nitrogen as at the earliest stage of the food chain. But we're now seeing a period of regression. The more fertilizer you add, soluble fertilizer into the soil, chemicals or biological based, organic based, you'll see that industrial waste and agricultural waste, for example, in zyno betterave, in sugar beet, but organic, there is this, it self-destroys the soil because it provides them with an excess of nutrition. And plants, whenever they are thirsty, will drink water and will simply grow and grow, bloat, and become ever more fragile. Plants need oligoelements, and a plant which simply gorges itself is not natural. It becomes bloated, and that it becomes junk food at the end of the day, and we'll all end up looking like Americans. That's the fact. It's because of la malbouffe, because of junk food. Now, this then means that minerals are leached from the plants, things which are needed as oligo-elements, trace elements, and they're not available for plants. And this is this is connected with the quality of our food. People say that agriculture is in a bad way. Energy consumption, pesticide consumption is increasing. Soil is dying and dying out. The consumption of oil, creating global warming. We're seeing extreme weather events with flooding and drought and gales. Down in the Mediterranean, where I come from, the Mistral is becoming ever more violent, and it's drying out the soil, it's parching the soil, and becoming increasingly a major problem. Only recently, in Ardèche, the Droit de Chauvet, in archaeological review, there were little pictograms made by prehistoric people of soil, and by the 1960s, the soil which had been there since prehistoric times had actually disappeared. There had been a whole population of people working the soil, and it's now in Ardèche returned to rock. So that is an extreme example, but we are seeing nowadays there are technological and financial challenges facing people farmers, and they are simply leaving the land, or in fact suicide rates have increased among the farming population. Technology continues to evolve. The quality of people's food is getting worse because people no longer know what a decent soup tastes like. They don't know how to grow things for sure. And across the world, there are many millions of small farmers who have not allowed themselves to be bowled away by agri-business, and who are using traditional methods. And so that can exist. Careful management of organic substances can improve the quality of the soil and of our food. Everything which grows can be composted, so it's not doesn't end up in landfill and is not incinerated. Healthy plants adapted to local situation with seed which is not covered by, which is not patented, is a start. Diversification, crop rotation, there is much potential there to create vegetable biodiversity, which is currently disappearing, not just at the macro level, but also in terms of the microorganisms. And this is out there in civil society. Small farmers and associations are very versed in this area. We've got to restore complex ecosystems, replanting hedgerows, things which were cleared away in the 50s and 60s. The restoration of wetlands, which have been destroyed. These things have to be reconstructed, reconstituted. We've talked about land grabbing, the excessive use of land for building. But of course it's farmland, arable land, which ends up being concreted over. Before villages were built on areas which were not did not lend themselves to agriculture. Where there was a place which was rocky, that was where you would build the village. Now it's the opposite, and now villages are buildings. Supermarkets are being built on prime farm land, green land. There's a little film now, Gérard Roger. This was made in Ardèche, who's a farmer, among his many other activities. And this is just a little snippet, and you can get this on Terre et Humanisme on YouTube, and so enjoy.
Et nous avons choisi de regarder le sol ici parce que le terre humanisme était lors de l'achat en l'an 2000. Une vigne, toujours travaillée, toujours désherbée, gros passage de machines, passage de pesticides, d'engrais et un sol qui s'érode.
Il y a très peu de profondeur facilement traversable, on va dire suffisamment fertile. Il y a très peu d'activité biologique au sens vers de terre et autres. On voit une terre très minérale. Et on voit quoi? On voit le caillou qui monte. Autrement dit, la terre descend ou part vers les fossés et les voisins et les cours d'eau. La première couche est très sèche, ce qui est compréhensible. Et après, on retrouve des petites racines. Et de suite, on voit le sous-sol. Là, on est typiquement dans des bouts de terre qui sont normalement à grande profondeur. Donc quand on voit ça à la surface, on peut se dire qu'il y a eu 20, 40, 60 cm de terre qui sont partis en... Ce que l'on voit là, je tire sur des racines, on va dire de surface. Non, elles sont à la surface, mais elles devraient être en profondeur. Elles devraient être à 10, 20, 30 cm de profondeur. L'érosion est tellement forte qu'elle commence à remettre les racines souterraines à l'air alors qu'on est déjà dans la butte. Et on voit l'ancien terrain qui avait 10, 20, 30 cm de plus. Et tout...
Nous sommes ici dans le verger potager, le jardin où nous avons fait le plus d'efforts à l'aide des stagiaires et bénévoles. Nous avons fait des cultures sur butte, travaillé à l'aérobêche pour aérer le sol sans retourner les couches de sol, apport de compost, paillage, engrais verts. Et d'année en année, le sol s'est structuré, devenu de plus en plus fertile. Et maintenant, nous avons de plus en plus de beaux légumes en bonne santé.
Là, on a ce que j'appellerais, moi, un sol structuré. Et un sol profond, on va le voir. Et il est profond parce qu'il s'est amélioré à partir du haut. Donc, on est dans les 3 améliorations potentielles du sol. Compostage, paillage et engrais verts. Donc, 3 types d'activités biologiques qui vont nous faire une structure absolument merveilleuse. Donc, voilà, c'est qu'on a du grumeau noir, humide, frais, et il reste toujours rond et grumeleux. Mais là, on est dans une couleur de terre de jardin, entre brun et noir, qui est tout à fait une preuve indiscutable d'amélioration au niveau de la gestion des matières organiques et du fer. Un beau grumeau, et on a une bonne odeur de terre travaillée et régulièrement compostée. De voir les 20 premiers centimètres, pour voir que quasiment tous les légumes peuvent de suite trouver une terre fertile et agréable pour tous les, aussi bien pour les jardiniers que pour les producteurs de fleurs.
Vous pouvez garder le film, il dure 20.
Anyway, the complete film is 20 minutes. It shows different soil samples. There are areas where the soil has been reconstituted by green fertilizer, and there are a range of different methods which have been used, and that can really bring the soil back really quickly. 10 years ago, there was nothing there. They had a few kind of weedy little vegetables, and it can really be improved very rapidly and restored. We're now getting 2 feeds from the room.
Et justement, beaucoup de jardiniers sont plus...
And I think more gardeners are aware of that, with food autonomy, as we call it. Everyone is trying to improve and things and exchange things. There are now exchanges where best practice and so on, where gardeners really do pass on these things. So I'm now coming to the end of my time. So I think that we must all get together and grow together, grow things together, plants together, exchanging seed, exchanging plants as well, and crops. The problem for small farmers, horticulturalists and farmers, basically is very difficult to find land at an affordable price, and becoming more difficult to build farm buildings given the planning permission that's required. And we'll need to find ways, perhaps a collective ground, and again sharing perhaps. But civil associations, civil society can work towards becoming self-standing and regaining its autonomy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the extraordinary film. I think it speaks more than words can speak. However, we now go to the Commission. The Commission